Hey guys, so if you want to draw a chimney, when you're starting out on A1, you're starting out with essentially something like this. And, you don't need to be crazy with this. Sometimes you can just draw these things schematically, and that's totally fine. So for instance, if you just wanted to hatch this, then that would be great. Just make sure that you put your hatch on the hatch layer, and this would be fine. But if you really want to know how to draw a fireplace more like this, then essentially all we're going to do is I will show you. We're just going to draw the stud walls that frame out the firebox. And it depends on what you order or what you have in mind, but this is a very small fireplace. This is, 5.5 feet by, just over 2 feet deep. So this isn't that big, but this is how you could do it. Essentially, oh, there's already polyline. That's nice. You can just offset this 3.5 inches for a 2x4 wall. And then we're going to want to draw a back line here so that we can find how to draw this angle. So let's say, for instance, that so we're looking at the fireplace this way. We want between this wall and here, we want, let's just offset this 4 inches. Great. So that'll help us punch the hole like we would on any other window or door. I'll just mirror this across. Don't erase source subject and get rid of these because I don't need those. And I will trim out where we're looking into the firebox. I don't want to draw a line from the inside corner because that will look strange. I will want to draw it here, but I want to know exactly where this line should go. So I'll take the midpoint of my back line, offset this, say, 10 inches. It depends on your design, depends on what you might buy from the fire supplier. So just mirror this over. That looks great. Offset these 3.5 inches. This is, I mean, essentially at this point, this is going to be something you buy and install, but we're just getting fancy here. So okay, trim, 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 trim. And then we need a floor line. Well, also, it depends on if you have, this will be on A flooring. It depends on if this is going to have a bench. Like what is your hearth like? I mean, we gotta get real specific here. But maybe you've got 18 inches of a bench that comes out right here. And you would draw this. So let's extend there into there and then trim this up. But this is going to be on probably it needs to be blue, so we can put that on something you would sit on. It's either a fixture, but it's darker, or it's furniture, but it needs to be darker. So I'm just gonna put it on. Ooh, what should I put it on? I'm gonna put it on flooring, but I'm gonna override it to make it darker because it's more important than the floor line here. In blue 143, that is the cabinet blue line. So that's a pin 3 layer. So that looks nice. If this was it, yeah, you could just hatch this thing and that would look good. A little overkill and whatnot, but fun to do. Now, rarely is your firebox going to be just framing, or even not just framing, but just you'd have to say what sort of material is applied to here. So what you might do is you might put a masonry wall over it. And so if you're going to do a masonry wall, then it's a 2.5, it's a 2 inch gap, and then a 3.5 inch gap is standard. So I can offset this by 2 inches. And then I'll just extend, well, we're gonna have a little bit of a lip here. I'll put this on wall, but I will override the layer to blue 143. Then I'll offset this. Guys, this is very extra, but just showing you how you would do it. And then I would make the outer line green, and then this line. And yes, this would meet like this because this is going to be hatched like a wall, and this can be hatched like masonry. I'll show you in a second. So this would be showing a masonry wall. Actually, we're going to do this. This will extend into here. Offset this, the distance of the masonry wall, and then this is going to be 2 inches. It'll make sense in a second. Actually, that's just fine. Match. Boom, 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 boom. So we're just gonna leave this now for here. Mirror this over. You might show that, yeah, the masonry extends over, or there's a mantle, so this would be on overhead. This is way more work than you should put into a fireplace, but just to show you. I want to show you what the hatches look like. Oh, and let's bring the little hearth, little place to sit back. We're going to bring it now to the edge of the stone because it would be silly if it was inset like that, and maybe it overhangs a little bit. But now we've got a fireplace and a firebox here. We can hatch The stud wall. Ooh, it wants to flood, which I do not want it to do. There we go. Just back up a little bit, and then I will also hatch the masonry, but I will set the masonry apart a little bit. I will change this to, let's say, 5. We'll change it to 7, and it's going to read lighter. So masonry needs to read lighter like this, and then the wall will read, we can actually change this to a 3. That's going to be better. And then, yeah, so this will still print way different. It'll be really nice. So anyway, that's the chimney, and this is the flue. This is where the smoke goes up. Floor line, line above where the stone goes, and then maybe you've got a mantle that comes out 8 inches. And then you don't need this line. You can just match property here because the mantle would overrule what that line would be. Wonderful. Chimney.